Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that the video is going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine, as you can see. Kisumu is fantastic. And maybe you could also let me know where you are watching the video from. The county or the country in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, there is something I've been thinking about. Rachel Ruto, the first lady, is a self-confessed Christian. Mama Dorcas Rigathi Gachagua is a pastor. And I've been wondering why the two cannot reconcile their spouses. William Ruto told the entire country when he was campaigning in the last election that their leadership was going to be based on family values. And for me, my understanding of family values is that if they were going to be faced with a situation like what we are witnessing today, they were going to use the Bible to reconcile the two. But that has not happened. Which means only one thing, that the differences between the two gentlemen cannot be reconciled. Which also means that one of them will have to pave way for the other. Either Rigathi Gachagua will have to go, or William Ruto will have to go. But based on the current political situation in the Republic of Kenya, it is easy to interpret who is likely to leave. Rigathi Gachagua is going to go. And based on the developments, politically speaking, Rigathi Gachagua's options are now very limited. Let me just take you back a bit to some of the options which Rigathi Gachagua had. The first option he had was to fight. Fight. He's losing that. Because already the members of parliament voted overwhelmingly to impeach him. That was dangerous for him. Rigathi Gachagua now has the Senate. Can the Senate save Rigathi Gachagua? Most Kenyans trust the Senate. But can they save Rigathi Gachagua? Let's assume only the 42 senators will be voting. It would mean that Rigathi Gachagua must win the support of 17 senators to thwart that impeachment. I'm looking at it and I don't see a possibility of Rigathi Gachagua surviving. Which means Rigathi Gachagua is left with the judiciary. And the way these things are unfolding, I don't see any hope for Rigathi Gachagua in the judiciary. The judiciary is already aligned with a well-planned outcome. But Rigathi Gachagua still has another option. The option of resigning, which is going to form the basis of this analysis. But if you look at the political developments, just like I was trying to explain to you guys, that either Rigathi Gachagua will have to pave way, or William Ruto will have to pave way. How can William Ruto pave way? William Ruto can only pave way if Rigathi Gachagua will survive the impeachment, and then Rigathi Gachagua will then train his guns on William Ruto. Because so far, politically speaking, this impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua has made the ground hostile for William Ruto in the mountain. William Ruto cannot go to the mountain, I can assure you, anytime soon, as long as this impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua is still on. Because Rigathi Gachagua has successfully managed to do one thing, which is very dangerous for William Ruto. Rigathi Gachagua has made this impeachment not his, but a community affair. Listening to this gentleman, this is not a young man, and this is clearly an educated person clearly not a poor person. Listen in to what he's trying to say here.
Ningetaka tu kusema huu ni wakati msito kwa Kikuyu, na hasa ningetaka kuambia hii vita si kidogo, na niwaambie hii vita si ya Gachagua. Hii ni vita ya Wakikuyu wote, matajiri wetu wote, vijana wetu wote, maina jenga na wale viongozi wote mahali wapo. Tukae chini hata kama ni viongozi wa kanisa, tukae chini, tujue tuko kwa hatari, na tukijua na tukiamua kabila yetu, tukiamini hivyo, hii hatari tutadilu naye. Kama vile tulindilu na msungu who was a superpower, who was controlling the biggest part of the world then, and we were primitive people then. Hii hatari sio kubwa vile kama wakati ule. Tukishikana tuko na uwezo. Wale Kikuyu wako anywhere in Kenya, na mwambia mjue mko hatarini.
But the question is, can Rigathi Gachagua resign? And is resignation the best option for Rigathi Gachagua? That's exactly what I want us to analyze in this video. But before I do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. Let me ask you this question again. If you were Rigathi Gachagua, what would you do today? Would you resign? Or would you wait and fight until you lose? Because if Rigathi Gachagua were to lose this case, which is going to lose anyway, unless the Senate will save him, it would mean that Rigathi Gachagua will not even become a chief in his village. Someone who served the country as a DO for a very long time. But if he resigns, it would mean that he will still have some options. Let me just share with you what the Senate program looks like. Because on Wednesday, Rigathi Gachagua will appear at the Senate. On Thursday, the Senate will issue their verdict. Already the Senate has shared their program. This is what the Senate will do. At exactly 9 a.m. on Wednesday, the senators are required to have all taken their seats at the chambers and will be going for a pre-hearing meeting that will take about 1 hour, according to the schedule released by the clerk. Okay? So according to this will be held behind closed doors. The senators at 10 a.m. will then go into preliminaries that will entail recital of the mandate of the Senate, rules of procedures, and hearing program. This will also include introduction of lawmakers representing the National Assembly. Of course, the National Assembly have also submitted names of, I think, 4 individuals. Kaloma, the mover of the motion, Otienda Molo, and I think Kandui Member of Parliament, Makali. And if any, and their council, if any, and finally introduction of the Deputy President and his council. So the Deputy President will also, he has already lined up several lawyers. So the National Assembly will be represented by Kibwezi West MP, Mwingi Ekmas Mutuse, who is the mover of the impeachment motion, Rwanda Member of Parliament, Otinda Molo, JLEC Chair George Murugara, Homa Bay Town Legislator Peter Opondo Kaluma, as well as his Kandui counterpart. So those are the people who will be representing the National Assembly. From 10:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., the clerk of the Senate, Jeremiah Nyegenye, will read the charges against the Deputy President and then put the question to him whether he is guilty or not. Thereafter, the two sides will each be given half an hour to make their opening statements. After the opening statements, then comes the marathon hearing, starting with the National Assembly, who will have 3 hours to prosecute Gachagua, And then Gachagua will have 2 hours to cross-examine the accuser. At 7:30, the Senate will adjourn, waiting the final day of the hearing. So that's the program. And as someone who's been in politics, I don't see Rigathi Gachagua having a chance of winning at the Senate, because this is a political process. Rigathi Gachagua might be innocent, but impeachments are political process. Although there is hope for Gachagua, Boni Alwale has indicated that for them, they'll be keenly following the charges. Onyonka is also very clear that in the Senate, they'll not be following what people are hearing outside there. They look at the evidences. Okay? And the drafters of this impeachment motion against Rigathi Gachagua, they were very smart. They listed 9 charges, which means there's high chance that Rigathi Gachagua might actually be found guilty of 1. And that one will be enough to send him home. Which begs the question, can Rigathi Gachagua resign? Because even earlier today, there were rumors in the Republic of Kenya that Rigathi Gachagua was contemplating resigning. And if Rigathi Gachagua were to choose that route of resigning, it would mean, number 1, he might be eligible to contest in future elections. Of course, he will have to negotiate. And maybe the government will tell him, please, if you have to resign, exit politics. But again, if he resigns, then they will take him nowhere. Someone will then have to go to court and charge him, and then the courts will find him guilty, which is going to be totally different case now, because that would not be a political process. If he won't resign and they send him home, it would mean that Rigathi Gachagua will not be eligible to contest or to hold any public office in the Republic of Kenya. I've figured out Rigathi Gachagua's age, and he might say, okay, let me just face these guys. Nikitumwa nyumbani, no problem. But in case he resigns today, then William Ruto might make a mistake of appointing a member of parliament from the mountain to serve as the deputy president. Let's say Chungwa or Ndinyo. If that were to happen, Rigathi Gachagua can decide to go back to parliament. How? Simple. Although we don't have an IBC, but he can wait, go and contest in either of those constituencies. He can win, then deal with William Ruto in the National Assembly. And that's why I strongly believe that Ruto might not allow that to happen. He might insist, because one of them has to go, either Rigathi or Ruto, whichever way you look at it. Number 2, if he were to resign, it will also give him the opportunity to revenge against William Ruto, either in 2027 or post-2027. You know, politics is very fluid. Rigathi Gachagua might decide, okay, I've resigned, these are the conditions you've put for me, but I'm giving you time until your term comes to an end. Then the moment you'll exit, I'll come with the dossier. The time for revenge. If you were to be impeached, he won't have that opportunity, because Kenyans will forget about him very fast. Number 3, I think for Rigathi Gachagua to remain relevant, politically speaking, for him to remain relevant, politically speaking, he must resign. The law is very clear that if you are impeached, you cannot contest or hold any public office for 10 years. I think it's for 10 years, if I'm not wrong. Any lawyer around here? Then after 10 years, you can contest. 10 years, Rigathi Gachagua will be how old? Maybe approaching 70s there. He will be old. Yeah? So for him to remain relevant now, let him resign if I were him. Because my initial idea was for Rigathi Gachagua to fight in the National Assembly. But the way members of parliament voted, he doesn't have a chance. So let him resign. He will remain relevant, politically speaking. because he will still be eligible to contest. And lastly, the resignation can also be what Robert Greene tells us in Law 22, the surrender tactics. Sometimes it's good when you are weak to surrender. Gather enough energy, then hit at the right time. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you think, but I think for Rigathi Gachagua, the die is cast. He might not have any other option. If he can't resign, he must kiss goodbye to politics. And Kenyans will miss the truthful man who was blinded by power, forgot that power is fluid, overstepped on each and every toe until he learned politics the hard way. Makwiny, bye-bye.